First and foremost, greetings, salutations to everybody who's out there. To wish everybody well wishes, I guess, goodwill and all that. This stream is about Max B and Black hypocrisy. Now, let me just put this out on the table. Like, I don't really have any ill will towards Max B because there's a bunch of people who have walked, or actually who have, and when I say a bunch of people, I'm talking about entertainers, artists, rappers in the all across different places who have found themselves locked up, incarcerated during their careers, and when they come out, most of them have met failed careers. Very few, very few have made it out of prison or jail and continue to prosper, or basically continue where they left off. One who comes to mind who did very well after being locked up for a little while, Tupac, rest in peace, right? Who else? Who else could you think of? Perhaps Meek Mill did well after he was locked up, sure. Lil Wayne did a bullet in Rikers Island, and when he was released, I want to say 2009, 10ish, 2010 maybe, right? The whole Young Money, pretty much it. He continued right where he left off, right? Did very well, but that's far and few in between compared to many others, right? Modern day, you know, you could think of a few MCs or rappers who have been locked up and they come out and their careers struggle. The music doesn't sound the same. The momentum that they once had before they were imprisoned disappeared. They're no longer in demand as they once were, right? And that's just as far as talent goes, as far as quenching the thirst of a consumer that's looking for their music, right? That is excited, right? You're interested, you want to hear what this person has to say, and you want to make sure or pray that they're able to carry it and continue the quote unquote wave that they had before facing incarceration, right? Somehow, what I don't understand, and it's not just me that feels this way, because I've had conversations with tons of people. When people come out of jail, sometimes folks are so excited and so happy, they will have sort of like a parade in a way of individuals who will come together and celebrate the person coming back home from incarceration in a way where there's no comparison to any other life goal that you've achieved in your life. Whether if you acquired a great job that you've been working hard to get, whether you finished school, right? Whether you're able to achieve some type of accomplishment that your dream of dreams that you finally achieve, that's not something that's celebrated among the Black community as much as someone else who just came out of lockdown who just came home, right? They come back to open arms, warm reception, all kinds of whatever privileges and items that they're given as gifts or whatever, even status and prestige and all this stuff, material items. You throw money at them, might throw some jewelry at them. For some people, they haven't had any type of relations with anybody. So if it's a man that's coming out, mostly it's always like the men getting these parties. You might give them some chicks to spend some time with, some companionship because it's been a while. So a few clothes, party, party, party. Let's be excited. Sometimes as wide as community-wide parties and celebrations, block parties, street parties. I've talked about this in my streams already. Like, makes it just boggles my mind because folks forget it's not about hate either. It's just some speak about Max B because that's the talk of the day. It's the talk of the day. It could have been, it applies to any other entertainer or rapper that found themselves behind bars while when they were out in the free world, they were working with potential. They were basically exercising their gifts. They were making money, taking care of themselves and maybe their loved ones in their community. Now they coming back home from losing their freedom, right? Or committing a crime while they were outside before they lost their freedom. This is the thing. This is the thing. People forget when these individuals come back home, why were they in there in the first place? Why were they locked up? Why were they jailed? Why were they imprisoned? For untold amount of time, years, sometimes over a decade, a couple decades. Why did they have to serve time? People don't think sometimes about what was it that they did that landed them in jail, that landed them in prison. What crime did they commit, right? Who got harmed in the process? What violent act did they have to undergo to cause them to lose their freedom? And not only that, because you think about, okay, the crime was done. They're serving their time for the crime, okay. But no one thinks about the victims. No one thinks about the people who were victimized. No one thinks about the people who were not only victimized, but the people who are no longer alive anymore due to the actions of these individuals that everyone is celebrating and welcoming home and showering all this quote unquote love. Not even an acknowledgement to the fact that, listen, you're back. You have another chance. You're given another chance to do right, another chance to be free, quote unquote, to do better in life. Never forget what caused you to get locked down anyway. What happens a lot of times? The people go back to doing what caused them to get locked down again. They go back to the same riffraff, right? And those who sometimes don't even go back to the same riffraff can't even catch that flame, can't even spark that flame that they once had, can't reignite that flame that they once had that got them a certain level of stardom, of success. A person that comes to mind that might have perhaps their career continued to do well and maybe improve or do better, maybe little Boosie. He did some time, came out, did well. Maybe well, it was questionable years ago with the whole TI thing about all those firearms he found in right. Spent a year and a day or so, served a year and a day inside, came out. His career did well, but compare those few to many who haven't. There's a reason for that. Like Bobby Shmurda, him and Roddy Rebel came out two different times, two different points, but they came out after serving 7 years. How their careers flourished. Times are different. Shine did 10 years for Bad Boy, right? How's his career flourished when he came out and tried to make music? BG from Cash Money. Okay, they're going on tours, they're doing shows, etc. But where's the music? Is it really in demand? I'm pointing out certain things to show you, and then those in the comments you could leave. I mean, other people might feel, you know other artists. Put them in the comments. Even the ladies, the likely the artists like Little Kim. I think she did a year. Has her career catapulted when she returned to the scene, or did the year not have some kind of impact? I don't know. Of course, people get into all types of different businesses. They do other things. I'm not saying she's been a failure, but her music career and trajectory didn't skyrocket or continue to go. And maybe because it was due to being locked down. It's not a wide, I'm not sweeping a broad stroke and saying this is what happens in general. But like now that Max B is out and everybody open arms, school, I mean, what they call him, the wave, all this loopy wave, he started a trend. He had his own lane, his own sound, his own style. Like original, you could see that there's talent there. The man has talent for sure. But I'm watching how the community opened their arms. You people, I mean, like I say, you people, I'm part of the you that when I say you people, we when I say community, black community, like we have party for drug dealers that come home that have done decades behind the wall, have party and celebrate. We barely try to congratulate folks who graduate. We don't give them the same fervor, the same excitement, the same warm, loving reception. We don't do that. The only time you might see something like that happen, there'll be a party is maybe during some type of event. Maybe it's a birthday, maybe it's a marriage, a wedding, or something like that. But when people in the world are doing well, you want to buy your first house or even your first car. Again, you just acquired your first job, finishing school, come first job, and at the time of this recording, it's a holiday for Veterans Day. You returned home from serving your country, irrespective of whatever political views you stand on. You return home as a soldier, intact. You didn't die, and what you did was you served your country. You turned home in service of your country in one piece, quote unquote. Folks are not celebrated the same. Those people are not celebrated the same. Veterans and I don't know. It's backwards. It's backwards. How do you think the family who got impacted by Max B's actions feel? How do you think they feel about him being out? You don't think he has people out here in the world who don't like him with the botched robbery that he was the mastermind of? Like someone died behind that. Someone got killed behind that. And how do you think the relatives of that person feels with all this fanfare and adoration that he's getting on the internet? You understand? Like, why does he have to the first day? They say the first day, or the not the first day, but as soon as he had to report to his parole officer, he was accompanied by a bodyguard. I have clients who go see their parole officer. They never have a bodyguard. I've never heard of anybody going to visit their PO, their parole officer, accompanied with a bodyguard. We just last month had an incident. an incident took place at a parole office right here, right outside a parole office right here, where a fairly young man walked out of the office after seeing his parole officer and got gunned down by his ops or his rivals, gang members. Saw him. They said it was about 3 of them. They shot him down in the middle of the South Bronx. I guess he didn't have a. If he had a maybe a bodyguard that would. People don't go to those places with bodyguards, and again, you don't know who you offended, right? You don't know who you've hurt. You don't know who you've harmed. People are not mindful of these things. They just think about certain things one way, and they don't see the whole picture. I'm not saying don't be happy for a person that you care about coming back home from the clink. But this extra extreme notoriety and fanfare and party, taking things to an extreme level, expect to have a extreme response in the other side, on the other level, opposite level. Like, or am I wrong? Leave a comment in the section. Again, I'm too old to be hating. I'm too old. Y'all, somebody quick to be telling me I'm hating. It's not about hate. It's about putting a thought out there and talking about it, or just addressing it and identifying this cycle of these actions of repeating these actions that show me you repeating a cycle. It reflects a certain level of consciousness that have sort of like not helped uplift the community. Having parties and all this stuff for people who come out, criminals that have served their time and come back to re-enter society, having parties for them, you should have the same type of parties all across the board for people who do great things in the world and don't have to commit crimes or hurt one another. Who do great things in the world, meaning whatever goals they accomplish, whatever goals you as a listener might have accomplished, should be celebrated as well too. Because you didn't have to hurt somebody, you didn't have to create commit a crime, you didn't have to conjure up and be the mastermind of any type of botched robberies that cause somebody to lose their life. Why shouldn't you receive that same praise, support, adoration, and recognition? And this is what you find a lot in the Black community, unfortunately. You find these things in the Black community. Heavily. It's no secret. It's just present. Every artist I just mentioned were Black. Like, and then we have this crabs in a barrel mentality where we don't celebrate and are happy for people when they do well. We become envious and jealous and secretly despise individuals. And that's not going to help a community flourish and thrive. These are things to think about. Let me know what y'all think, man. Thanks for listening. Leave a comment, like the video, share, subscribe, join the members. I'll talk to y'all in a minute on the next one. Take care.